Imagine never aging again, never fearing death, never worrying about the end. But would living forever really be a blessing, or a nightmare? In this video, we'll explore what it would mean to be immortal, the emotional challenges, moral dilemmas, and unimaginable opportunities that would arise. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to witness the world change around you endlessly, then you're in the right place. If you could live forever, what would you do with infinite time? How would it feel to watch everyone around you grow old while you remain the same? Would boredom become unbearable? Or could you achieve wisdom and experiences beyond what any human has ever dreamed? This video will help you understand the psychological, social, and philosophical impacts of a never-ending life, and how that could change your perspective on the world today. Watch until the end to discover how this perspective could transform the way you face life's challenges and make the most of every moment. After all, are we really prepared for infinity? But before anything else, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. When we talk about immortality, it's easy to imagine a life without end, but what does that really mean? Being immortal isn't just about not aging. It involves a host of deep questions. Would we be free from all diseases? Would we be invulnerable to accidents or disasters? Immortality can be seen in many ways. Some imagine it as an eternal life without sickness or suffering, while others see it as simply a body that never ages but is still subject to other dangers of life. The idea of immortality is not new. In Greek mythology, for example, the gods were immortal, living forever on Mount Olympus, free from aging and diseases, yet still vulnerable to intrigues and battles. In science fiction, such as in the novels of H.G. Wells or films like Highlander, immortality is explored in more complex ways, often bringing up moral and existential dilemmas. In the modern comic book universe, characters like Wolverine and Deadpool are practically immortal due to their regenerative abilities, showing how immortality can come with a price. And what about science? We are seeing real advances that could bring us closer to near immortality. Research in biotechnology, genetic manipulation, and even the study of creatures like the jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii, which is biologically immortal, make us wonder if immortality could shift from a dream to a possibility. However, scientific immortality, at least for now, is more about slowing aging and extending longevity than completely avoiding death. So, the real question remains, are we prepared to live forever, or is mortality what gives life meaning? Imagine having infinite time to learn, explore, and accomplish everything you've ever dreamed of. Being immortal would mean never being limited by decades of life. You'd have the chance to master any skill or knowledge, learn every language, explore every culture, and witness the continuous evolution of the world and humanity. Without the constant fear of the end, we could devote ourselves to ambitious projects and create legacies that would last forever. On a personal level, immortality could be the key to limitless development. With eternity at our disposal, we would have the opportunity to reflect on our mistakes, learn from them, and become the best version of ourselves, without the pressure of a biological clock. Imagine becoming a master in multiple arts, sciences, and philosophies, or even discovering new forms of expression that have never been conceived. Spiritually, the journey of self-discovery could expand beyond any known human limitation, allowing a deeper connection with the universe and oneself. And what about the impact on humanity as a whole? If immortality were accessible, we could enter an era of unprecedented progress. Scientists, artists, thinkers, and leaders could dedicate centuries to their fields of study, generating continuous and never-before-seen innovations. Without the limitation of death, we might explore the stars, colonize other planets, and venture into territories beyond imagination. The very definition of civilization could be rewritten, where the accumulated knowledge of millennia would be in the hands of people who have lived and learned for generations, opening doors to a future where the impossible becomes possible. While the idea of living forever may seem like a dream, immortality would also bring profound and often disturbing challenges. One of the greatest emotional problems would be loneliness. Imagine living for centuries and watching everyone you love age and die while you remain the same. The pain of loss would be constant, and new relationships might feel pointless, as death would always take others away. Immortality could condemn us to a life of emotional isolation, where the only constant is the passage of time and the longing for those who are gone. Moreover, there are ethical and philosophical dilemmas to consider. If everyone were immortal, how would we deal with overpopulation and the planet's limited resources? A world where no one dies would mean an unprecedented population explosion, straining ecosystems and economic systems to the breaking point. And if only some were immortal? This would create a new class of gods among mortals, generating unimaginable inequality and conflicts. What about the value of life? When death is no longer a certainty, life loses its urgency, and with it, perhaps, some of its meaning. Finally, the psychological impact of endless existence could be devastating. Boredom and monotony might become relentless enemies. Over time, all experiences could become repetitive. Would a life without end result in an endless search for new emotions and stimuli, or just paralyzing apathy? And without an end in sight, would we lose our sense of purpose? After all, mortality often drives us to seek meaning, to build, to love, and to create. Without it, could life become an endless cycle of searching for something that might never be found? The pursuit of immortality isn't just a theme of fiction, it's a goal that many scientists are exploring in the real world. Advances in biotechnology and genetic engineering are already paving the way for extreme longevity. Research in gene therapy is investigating how to manipulate DNA to slow aging, while cell regeneration science seeks ways to repair damaged tissues and prolong youth. There are even studies on transferring consciousness to digital forms, in an attempt to create digital immortality. If science continues at this pace, the possibility of living hundreds, perhaps thousands of years, may not be that far off. In philosophy, immortality raises intriguing questions about the meaning of life. What does it mean to live without the fear of death? For many, it's the finiteness of life that gives our actions meaning. Without the prospect of death, would we continue to value each moment or fall into a state of perpetual indifference? Some philosophies suggest that eternal life could lead to an apathetic humanity, while others argue that it could lead to an era of superdevelopment, where the accumulated wisdom of centuries would guide society to a new level of evolution. However, it's important to consider the Tithonus paradox, one of the oldest philosophical ideas about immortality. In Greek mythology, Tithonus was blessed with immortality, but not with eternal youth. He aged indefinitely, condemned to a miserable existence. This paradox raises a crucial question: even if science could grant us immortality, can it guarantee a life worth living? Other philosophical ideas, such as Nietzsche's reflections on the eternal return, suggest that eternity might be a repetitive and meaningless cycle, challenging the notion that immortality is a desirable state. Therefore, immortality, both in science and philosophy, is not just a matter of how to live forever, but of why and in what way such an eternal existence could be meaningful. And at this point, perhaps the answers aren't in laboratories or libraries, but within each of us. Immortality would have a profound and transformative impact on society, creating new social and economic dynamics and raising questions of justice and equality. Imagine a world where only a portion of the population has access to immortality. The inequality between immortals and mortals would be inevitable. Immortals, accumulating knowledge, power, and wealth over centuries, could form an unreachable elite, while the rest of the population would face the reality of death and the limitations of their lives. This division could generate extreme social tensions, conflicts, and even revolts, redefining the struggle for equality in a way never seen before. Furthermore, the existence of immortal beings would profoundly affect politics and the economy. Immortal leaders could hold on to power indefinitely, eliminating the need for succession and potentially creating permanent regimes. This could bring stability but also pave the way for eternal tyrannies. In the economic field, those who accumulated wealth over centuries could control markets and resources in a way that would make it impossible for new generations to compete on equal terms. Labor markets and social security systems would need to be completely restructured. After all, how would retirement work in a world where no one ages? Family structures would also be radically affected. Relationships could last centuries, or people might seek new types of connections in response to eternity. the concept of generation would lose its traditional meaning. A family could have members born hundreds of years apart. Decisions about having children, marriage, or career paths would have to be reconsidered in the light of eternity. With unlimited time, life goals could change completely, creating a society where motivation, purpose, and the desire to explore new horizons would be as infinite as the time available. In summary, immortality would bring about a total restructuring of how we live and organize ourselves as a society. Issues of justice, power, and balance would become more complex than ever, forcing humanity to face ethical and practical dilemmas that we can't even imagine yet. Let's imagine two opposite scenarios, one where immortality is accessible to everyone and another where only a privileged few have access to it. In the first scenario, where everyone has the chance to live forever, we could see the emergence of a true utopia. With infinite time, humanity could focus on solving problems that seem insurmountable today, such as space exploration, curing diseases, and eradicating poverty. People could invest centuries in education, innovation, and art, creating an era of unprecedented prosperity and wisdom. Knowledge would be accumulated and passed on through endless generations, leading to continuous advances in science and culture. The equality of opportunities, combined with immortality, could, in theory, create a world where the fullness of human potential is achieved. But even in this utopian scenario, challenges would arise. How to control overpopulation in a world where no one dies? Natural resources would become extremely limited, and land, food, and water would be contested like never before. Global governments would need to implement strict policies to manage these issues, possibly limiting births or encouraging the colonization of other planets. Moreover, the value of life could change drastically. Without death, humans might become more indifferent to their own existence. Now, imagine a second scenario, immortality accessible only to a privileged elite, creating a dystopian society where immortals rule and accumulate eternal power while the rest of the population lives limited lives, aging and dying as always. In this world, immortals could become untouchable, ruling for centuries or even millennia, creating a system where social mobility would be almost non-existent. Mortals, on the other hand, might see their existence as even more fleeting and purposeless, leading to a society marked by extreme inequality, conflict, and revolt. These dystopian scenarios raise questions about control, justice, and the value of humanity itself. Would immortality be a human right or a privilege for the few? The pursuit of eternity could trigger new forms of oppression and segregation, where immortality becomes a currency of absolute power. These futuristic scenarios lead us to reflect on the ethical, social, and philosophical complexities that immortality would bring. Immortality could be the key to a golden age or the trigger for new types of misery and oppression. In the end, perhaps the greatest dilemma is, how would we use this power for the good of humanity, or for its destruction? After exploring the many angles of immortality, from the surprising benefits, like unlimited time to learn, grow, and explore, to the daunting challenges, such as loneliness, ethical dilemmas, and the societal impact, we arrive at the crucial question: is it worth being immortal? For some, the idea of a life without end might seem like a blessing, an opportunity to transcend the limits of human existence and reach a new level of consciousness, progress, and fulfillment. For others, immortality may seem like a burden, a prison of eternal boredom, and a departure from what makes life precious and meaningful, its finiteness. As we've seen, immortality comes with a series of complexities. Would eternal life eventually strip the value from the moments we live? Or, with infinite time, could we build a more just, wise, and enlightened society? These questions lead us to a deep reflection on what it really means to live. Now, the question is for you: would you like to be immortal? Why? Would immortality be a blessing or a burden for you? How do you think it would change your life, your relationships, and humanity as a whole? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's continue this conversation about one of humanity's greatest mysteries and desires. And since you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel and leave your like. See you in the next video.